The wrong car. The right destiny. The city lights blurred into streaks of gold and crimson as Kai stumbled down the sidewalk, his vision swimming with each unsteady step. Something was terribly wrong. His body burned from the inside out, a fever that had nothing to do with illness and everything to do with biology he couldn't control. The suppressants he'd taken that morning should have lasted another week, maybe 2. But here he was, 3 blocks from his tiny apartment above the flower shop, feeling like his bones were melting beneath his skin. Kai pressed his palm against the rough brick wall of a building, trying to steady himself. The evening air felt thick and suffocating despite the autumn chill. October in the city meant early darkness, and the sun had already dipped below the horizon, leaving only the artificial glow of street lamps and neon signs. His phone trembled in his other hand as he scrolled through his contacts with clumsy fingers. There was only one person he could call. Only one person who had ever promised to help him when this happened. Milo answered on the 3rd ring, his voice smooth and familiar like warm honey. "Kai? What's up, buddy?" "Milo, Kai's voice cracked, embarrassment flooding through him even as desperation clawed at his chest. "I need help. It's happening again. Early. I don't know why, but I can't make it home safely and Hey, breathe!" Milo interrupted, and Kai could hear the rustle of movement on the other end. "Where are you right now?" Kai looked up at the street sign, squinting to make out the letters. "Corner of 5th and Morrison, near that coffee shop we went to last month." "Perfect. I know exactly where that is." Milo's voice carried that reassuring confidence that had drawn Kai to him since they were children. "Listen, I'm sending my car for you right now. Black sedan, tinted windows. It'll be there in 3 minutes. Just get in the back seat and lock the doors. The driver will bring you somewhere safe until this passes. Okay?" Relief washed over Kai so powerfully that his knees nearly buckled. "Thank you. Thank you so much, Milo. I don't know what I'd do without you. That's what friends are for, right? Just get in the car and stay safe. I'll check on you soon." The call ended, and Kai clutched his phone to his chest like a lifeline. 3 minutes. He could hold on for 3 minutes. He focused on his breathing, counting each inhale and exhale, trying to ignore the way his skin felt too tight and too hot all at once. Being an Omega had always been complicated, but moments like these made him feel vulnerable in ways he hated. The heats were natural, biological, nothing to be ashamed of, or so everyone said. But shame clung to him anyway, mixed with fear of what could happen if he lost control in public. 2 minutes passed like hours. Kai watched the street with desperate eyes, searching for any sign of a black car. The sidewalk around him was mostly empty, just a few people hurrying home from work, none of them paying attention to the young man slumped against the building. That was good. Being invisible was safer. Then he saw it. A sleek black sedan with tinted windows gliding down the street like a shadow on wheels. Kai pushed himself away from the wall, stumbling toward the curb. The car pulled up smoothly, its engine purring with expensive precision. The back door was unlocked. Kai didn't hesitate. He yanked it open and threw himself inside, pulling the door shut behind him with a gasp of relief. The interior was cool and dark, the leather seats soft beneath him. Kai locked the door as instructed and let himself sink back, closing his eyes. Safe. He was safe now. "Who are you? And why did you just enter my vehicle?" Kai's eyes flew open. The voice that spoke was nothing like what he expected. Deep, cold, and sharp as broken ice. His gaze jerked toward the driver's seat, and his heart stopped completely. The man behind the wheel was not a hired driver. He was young, maybe late 20s, with jet black hair styled back from a face that could have been carved from marble. His features were sharp and aristocratic, high cheekbones, a strong jaw, and eyes so dark they looked almost black in the dim light. He wore an expensive suit, charcoal gray with subtle pinstripes, and his hands on the steering wheel were elegant and controlled. But it was the expression on his face that made Kai's blood run cold. Those dark eyes held no warmth, no kindness, only icy assessment. This was not Milo's driver. This was Rex Donovan, the Ice King himself. Everyone in the city knew about Rex Donovan, even people like Kai who tried to stay away from high society and business circles. Rex was the youngest CEO in the city's history, having taken over his family's massive corporation at 23 after his father's sudden death. In the 5 years since, he'd turned the company into something even more powerful, more ruthless. People whispered about him in coffee shops and office break rooms. They said he had no heart, that he'd ruined competitors without blinking, that he'd never been seen smiling. They called him the Ice King, and they didn't mean it as a compliment. And Kai had just thrown himself into this man's car like a complete fool. I'm sorry, Kai stammered, his hand fumbling for the door lock. There was a mistake. I thought you were someone else. Don't move. Rex's command was quiet but absolute. His eyes narrowed slightly as he turned in his seat to look at Kai properly. Whatever he saw made his expression shift from cold anger to something more complicated. You're in heat. It wasn't a question. Kai felt his face burn with humiliation even as his body trembled with the fever consuming him. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. My friend sent a car and I thought... Your friend sent a black sedan to this corner? Rex interrupted, his voice still flat, but with an edge of something that might have been calculation. Yes. He said 3 minutes. I just assumed... Kai pressed back against the door, trying to make himself as small as possible. I'll go. I'm sorry for the confusion. Rex studied him for a long moment, those dark eyes moving over Kai's face with an intensity that made the Omega want to disappear. Then, unexpectedly, the Ice King reached behind him and pulled off his suit jacket. Without a word, he passed it back to Kai. Put this over yourself. My scent will help stabilize you temporarily. Rex's voice had lost some of its sharp edge, though it remained carefully neutral. Kai stared at the expensive jacket like it might bite him. I don't understand. Why would you... Because you're clearly in distress. You made an honest mistake, and leaving you on the street in your condition would be unconscionable. Rex said this as if it were obvious, as if compassion were simply a logical conclusion rather than a choice. I'm not in the habit of allowing people to suffer when I can easily prevent it. Now put on the jacket before you make yourself worse. With shaking hands, Kai took the jacket and wrapped it around his shoulders. The effect was immediate and powerful. Rex's scent, something like winter pine and expensive cologne with an underlying note of alpha that Kai's biology recognized and responded to, washed over him like cool water on burning skin. The fever didn't disappear, but it dulled to something manageable. Kai could breathe again. Thank you, he whispered, clutching the jacket closer. Rex had already turned back to face forward, his hands returning to the steering wheel. Where were you supposed to be taken? I don't know. Milo just said somewhere safe. Milo. Rex repeated the name with no particular inflection. The friend who was supposed to send this car? Yes, Milo Chen. We've been friends since we were kids. He promised he'd always help me when I needed it and... Kai stopped, suddenly aware of how pathetic he sounded, explaining his dependence on someone else to this powerful stranger. Rex was quiet for a moment, and Kai could see his profile in the rearview mirror, expression unreadable. I'm going to take you somewhere safe. Not your home because you need proper care and privacy. I own a suite at the Grandview Hotel. It's empty, secure, and has everything you'll need to wait out your heat safely. I'll arrange for suppressants and food to be delivered. Kai's mind spun. You don't have to do that. I can't possibly. You can, and you will. Rex started the engine, and the car pulled smoothly away from the curb. Consider it compensation for the inconvenience of having a stranger burst into my vehicle. I dislike being in anyone's debt, even in small matters. The drive to the Grandview Hotel took 15 minutes, though it felt both longer and shorter to Kai. He sat in the back seat, wrapped in Rex's jacket, watching the city slide past the tinted windows. His mind kept circling back to the same confused questions. Why was the Ice King being kind to him? Everyone said Rex Donovan had no compassion, no warmth, that he treated people like chess pieces to be moved and discarded. But this man had given Kai his own jacket, was taking him somewhere safe, was speaking to him with careful respect rather than contempt. Maybe everyone was wrong about the Ice King. Or maybe Kai was just lucky enough to catch him in an unusual moment of generosity. The Grandview Hotel rose 30 stories into the night sky, all glass and steel and old money elegance. Rex pulled into the private parking garage, using a key card to access a VIP section where only a handful of expensive cars sat. He parked smoothly and turned to look at Kai again. "Can you walk, or do you need assistance?" Kai tested his legs, finding them shaky but functional. "I can walk." "Good, stay close to me. The jacket should mask your scent enough to get you through the lobby without incident, but I'd rather not take chances." They made their way through the garage to a private elevator. Rex used another key card to access it, and they rode up in silence. Kai kept his eyes down, very aware of the man standing beside him. Rex was tall, easily 6 feet, and he carried himself with the kind of confidence that came from never having to question his place in the world. His scent, even beneath the cologne and fabric softener, was strong and steady, an alpha in complete control. The elevator opened directly into a penthouse suite that took Kai's breath away. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a panoramic view of the city lights. The furniture was modern and expensive, all clean lines and neutral colors. Everything spoke of wealth handled with taste rather than ostentation. "The bedroom is through there," Rex said, gesturing to a door on the left. "The bathroom is stocked with toiletries. I'll have food and suppressants sent up within the hour." He moved to the kitchen area, which was separated from the living room by a sleek marble counter, and filled a glass with water from a filtered dispenser in the refrigerator. He brought it to Kai. "Drink this. Dehydration will make everything worse." Kai took the glass with trembling hands and drank deeply. The cool water felt like salvation. When he lowered the glass, he found Rex watching him with that same intense, unreadable expression. "Why are you doing this?" Kai asked quietly. "Everyone says they say you don't care about people." Something flickered in Rex's dark eyes. Pain, maybe, or old anger. "Everyone says many things. Most of them are wrong, but it's easier to let them believe what they want than to constantly defend yourself." He turned away, moving back toward the elevator. "The door will lock behind me. No one has access to this suite except me. And I won't be returning until you contact me to say you're recovered. There's a phone by the bed. My number is programmed as number 1. Call if you need anything." "Wait," Kai said, taking a step forward. "I don't even know how to thank you properly. You've been so kind when you didn't have to be. When I was terrified and confused, you helped me. I don't understand why, but I'm grateful." Rex paused at the elevator, his finger hovering over the call button. He looked back at Kai, and for just a moment, his carefully controlled expression softened into something almost human, almost sad. "You looked afraid," he said simply. "I know what it's like to be afraid and have no one help. I wouldn't wish that on anyone, even a stranger." The elevator doors opened and he stepped inside. "Rest well, Kai. You're safe here." "How did you know my name?" Kai asked, startled. The faintest suggestion of a smile touched Rex's lips. "You said it on the phone to your friend. I pay attention to details." Then the doors closed, and Kai was alone in the beautiful, empty suite with nothing but questions and the lingering scent of winter pine that clung to the jacket still wrapped around his shoulders. He stood there for a long moment, trying to process everything that had just happened. His phone buzzed in his pocket, making him jump. 23 missed calls from Milo. 47 text messages, each one more frantic than the last. "Where are you?" "Kai, I'd answer me. I'm worried sick. This isn't funny. The car is here waiting. Where did you go?" Kai stared at the messages, his fevered brain struggling to make sense of them. The car is here waiting. But Kai had gotten into a car. He'd gotten into a black sedan at the corner of 5th and Morrison, exactly where he'd told Milo he was. If Milo's car had been waiting, then whose car had Kai entered? Rex's car, by pure chance. Rex Donovan had been parked at that exact corner at that exact moment in a black sedan, and Kai had mistaken him for the driver Milo had sent. The odds of such a coincidence seemed impossible, and yet it had happened. Fate, maybe. Or just the chaos of the universe arranging itself in strange ways. Kai typed out a quick response to Milo, his thumbs clumsy on the screen. I'm safe. Found another way. Sorry for worrying you. We'll explain later. He sent it before he could overthink the words, then silenced his phone and made his way to the bedroom. The room was as elegant as the rest of the suite, dominated by a massive bed with soft white linens. Kai collapsed onto it, still wearing Rex's jacket, and closed his eyes. His body ached with the heat, but the sharp edge of panic had faded. He was safe. The Ice King had made sure of it, had protected him without asking for anything in return. As Kai drifted into an exhausted sleep, his last conscious thought was that maybe everyone in the city was wrong about Rex Donovan. Maybe the Ice King wasn't cold at all. Maybe he was just careful about who got to see his warmth. The suppressants arrived an hour later, delivered by a hotel staff member who left them outside the door with a selection of food, soup, bread, fruit, and water. Kai ate mechanically, took the suppressants, and slept for 14 hours straight. When he finally woke, sunlight was streaming through the windows, and his fever had broken. The worst of the heat had passed, leaving him weak but clear-headed. His phone showed 53 new messages from Milo and 12 missed calls. Kai scrolled through them, noting how the tone shifted from worry to irritation to guilt. The last message, sent just an hour ago, read, "I'm so sorry I wasn't there for you. Something came up and I got delayed. Please tell me you're okay. You mean everything to me. You mean everything to me." The words should have made Kai's heart sing. He'd been in love with Milo Chen for as long as he could remember, nursing a quiet, hopeless crush on his childhood best friend. Milo was everything Kai wasn't: confident, successful, charming, an alpha who moved through the world like he owned it. And sometimes, in moments like these, Milo said things that made Kai wonder if maybe, just maybe, those feelings might be returned. But something about the message felt wrong. Something came up. What could possibly have been more important than helping Kai when he'd been in crisis? Milo had promised years ago when they were teenagers and Kai's heats first started that he would always be there. Always. It was the one promise Kai had believed without question. Kai set his phone aside and walked to the windows, looking out over the city. Somewhere down there, Rex Donovan was probably in his office, being the Ice King everyone feared. Did he even remember the Omega he'd helped last night? Or had it been such a small gesture for him that it had already faded from his mind? Kai picked up the phone by the bed and dialed number 1 before he could lose his nerve. Rex answered immediately. "Kai, are you recovered?" "Yes. The suppressants worked perfectly. I'm feeling much better." Kai twisted the phone cord around his finger nervously. "I wanted to thank you again before I left. What you did for me, I won't forget it. I'm glad you're well." There was a pause, and Kai could hear the faint sound of typing in the background, as if Rex was working even as they spoke. "The suite is yours for the rest of the day if you need it. Take your time. I should return your jacket. Keep it for now. You can return it when you're fully recovered. I'll have my assistant contact you about arranging a meeting." More typing. Then Rex's voice came back, slightly softer. "Kai, I want you to be careful. A friend who promises help and then doesn't deliver when you need it most. That's not a friend worth keeping." The words struck something deep in Kai's chest. "You don't know Milo. He's always been there for me. Except last night when it mattered most." Rex said this gently, but it still stung because it was true. "I'm not judging. I'm simply observing. But you deserve people in your life who follow through on their promises." After they said goodbye and hung up, Kai sat on the edge of the bed for a long time, turning Rex's words over in his mind. The Ice King was right, of course. Milo had failed him last night. But surely there was a good explanation. Surely Milo hadn't meant to let him down. They'd been friends for 20 years. That had to count for something. Kai gathered his things, made sure the suite was clean, and took the elevator down to the lobby. The morning sun was warm on his face as he stepped out onto the street. The city looked different in daylight, less threatening, more familiar. He walked the 12 blocks to his apartment, taking his time, trying to settle his thoughts. By the time he reached the flower shop, he'd almost convinced himself that everything would be fine. Milo would explain what happened. They'd laugh about the misunderstanding, and life would go back to normal. The strange, intense encounter with Rex Donovan would fade into memory, and just another odd moment in a life full of small oddities. But as Kai climbed the stairs to his apartment, he couldn't quite shake the feeling that something fundamental had shifted. He kept seeing Rex's dark eyes, kept hearing that deep voice saying, "You looked afraid. I know what it's like to be afraid and have no one help." What had happened to make the Ice King understand fear? What had carved that careful control and hidden kindness into a man the whole city believed had no heart? But Kai didn't know. But as he unlocked his door and stepped into his small, familiar apartment, he realized with startling clarity that he wanted to find out. Something had begun last night in that car, something that went beyond gratitude or chance. A connection had formed between an ordinary flower shop worker and the most powerful man in the city, and Kai had a feeling that nothing would ever be quite the same again. 3 days passed before Kai saw Milo again. 3 days of unanswered texts and calls that went straight to voicemail. On the 4th day, Milo showed up at the flower shop just before closing time, carrying expensive coffee and wearing his most charming smile. He looked perfect, as always. Golden brown hair styled just so, designer clothes that fit like they'd been made for him, and that easy confidence that made people want to trust him. "Kai! God, I've been trying to reach you," Milo said, setting the coffee on the counter and pulling Kai into a hug before the Omega could react. "I felt terrible about what happened. Are you okay? Tell me you're okay." Kai stiffened in the embrace but didn't pull away. The scent of Milo's alpha pheromones washed over him, familiar and once comforting, but now tinged with something that made his instincts uneasy. "I'm fine." The heat passed. "Thank God." Milo released him and leaned against the counter, his expression shifting to concern mixed with what looked like genuine guilt. "I need to explain what happened that night. I feel like such an idiot." "You said something came up," Kai prompted, arranging a bouquet of roses with more focus than the task required. His hands needed something to do, some way to channel the confused hurt he'd been carrying for days. "Yeah, a work emergency. You know how it is with the family business. My father expects me to drop everything when he needs something." Milo ran his hand through his hair in that practiced gesture that usually made Kai's heart flutter. "I sent the car like I promised, but by the time I was free to check my phone, you'd already texted that you found another way. I've been worried sick." "Where did you go?" Kai hesitated. Something in him resisted sharing the truth about Rex, as if that strange, kind encounter belonged to him alone, a secret too precious to expose to Milo's easy charm. "A friend helped me out. It's not important. What matters is that I was safe." "A friend?" Milo's eyes sharpened with interest, and something else, something that might have been jealousy. "What friend? You don't really have anyone else except me." The words landed like small cuts, painful because they were true. Kai had lived a quiet life. He focused on his work at the flower shop and his carefully maintained friendship with Milo. He'd let other relationships fade, had turned down invitations to socialize, all because some part of him had always been waiting for Milo to notice him as more than just a friend. "Someone new," Kai said carefully. "It doesn't matter. I'm just glad it worked out." Milo studied him for a long moment, and Kai could practically see the wheels turning behind those amber eyes. Then his expression smoothed into warmth again. "Well, I'm glad someone was there for you since I couldn't be. But Kai, you know you can always count on me, right? Always. We've been through too much together for you to doubt that." "Of course," Kai murmured, but the words felt hollow. Rex's voice echoed in his memory. A friend who promises help and then doesn't deliver when you need it most. That's not a friend worth keeping. They talked for another 20 minutes. Milo filling the space with easy conversation about his work, his family, the new restaurant he wanted to try. He asked if Kai wanted to go to dinner next week, that place with the good pasta that Kai loved. It felt normal, comfortable, like slipping into an old sweater that didn't quite fit anymore, but was too familiar to throw away. After Milo left, Kai locked up the shop and climbed the stairs to his apartment with Rex's jacket draped over his arm. He'd had it professionally cleaned, but even after the cleaning, he swore he could still catch traces of that winter pine scent. He hung it carefully in his closet, wondering when and how he was supposed to return it. Rex's assistant hadn't called yet, despite Rex's promise. Kai's phone buzzed. For a wild second, he thought it might be Rex, but the number was unknown. He answered cautiously. "Hello? Good evening. This is Victoria Chen, Mr. Donovan's personal assistant." The woman's voice was crisp and professional. "Mr. Donovan asked me to arrange a convenient time for you to return his jacket. Would tomorrow afternoon work for you? Say, 3 o'clock at the Sapphire Cafe on 8th Street? Kai's heart did something complicated in his chest. "Tomorrow is fine. 3 o'clock. I'll be there." "Excellent. Mr. Donovan looks forward to seeing you again." Victoria hung up before Kai could respond. The next day crawled by with agonizing slowness. Kai went through his morning routine at the flower shop in a daze, arranging bouquets and helping customers while his mind spun with anticipation and nervousness. What would he say to Rex? How did one have a normal conversation with the Ice King? The man had saved him, had shown him unexpected kindness, but that didn't mean they had anything in common or any reason to see each other again after today. At 2:30, Kai closed the shop early. He changed into his best clothes, dark jeans and a soft blue sweater that his coworker had once said made his eyes look pretty, and walked to the Sapphire Cafe with Rex's jacket folded carefully over his arm. The cafe was one of those elegant, expensive places with marble tables and waiters in crisp uniforms. Kai had never been inside before, had only walked past it on his way to other destinations, admiring it from afar. Rex was already there, sitting at a corner table with a laptop open in front of him. He looked up as Kai approached, and something in his expression shifted, softened, maybe, or warmed. He closed the laptop and stood, extending his hand. "Kai, thank you for coming." Kai shook his hand, startled by the firm warmth of Rex's grip and the small thrill that ran up his arm at the contact. "Of course. Thank you for meeting me. I have your jacket." "Keep it," Rex said, gesturing for Kai to sit. "It looks better on you anyway." "I can't possibly." "You can, and you will." Rex's lips curved into something that was almost a smile, and Kai realized with a start that this was the first time he'd seen the Ice King look even remotely amused. "Consider it a gift. I have 12 others identical to it." They ordered coffee, espresso for Rex, a vanilla latte for Kai, and fell into conversation with surprising ease. Rex asked about the flower shop, and Kai found himself talking more than he usually did, describing the different flowers and what they meant, the difficult customers and the sweet ones, the satisfaction of creating something beautiful with his hands. Rex listened with genuine interest, asking questions that showed he was actually paying attention. "You love what you do?" Rex observed. "That's rare. Most people tolerate their work at best." "Don't you love your work?" Kai asked, then immediately worried he'd been too bold. "I'm sorry, that's probably too personal." "No, it's a fair question." Rex stirred his espresso slowly, his dark eyes distant. "I'm good at what I do. I find satisfaction in building something successful, in solving problems, in strategy. But love? I'm not sure I'd use that word. My work is necessary. I inherited responsibility, and I take that seriously." "That sounds lonely," Kai said softly. Rex looked at him sharply, and Kai saw surprise flicker across his face. "Lonely," he repeated, as if testing the word. "Yes, I suppose it is, but lonely is safe. Lonely means no one can disappoint you or betray you. It also means no one can support you or celebrate with you," Kai pointed out gently. For a long moment, Rex simply looked at him, And Kai had the strange sensation of being seen in a way he never had been before. Not evaluated or judged, but truly seen. All his hopes and fears and quiet strength laid bare under that intense gaze. You're wise for someone so young," Rex finally said. "How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?" 25. And you?" 28. Though some days I feel much older. Rex leaned back in his chair, and some of the careful control seemed to ease from his posture. "Can I ask you something personal?" Kai's heart skipped. "Yes." "The friend who was supposed to help you that night. Milo. What is he to you?" Kai felt his cheeks warm. "We've been friends since childhood. He's important to me." "That's not what I asked." Rex's voice was gentle but persistent. "What is he to you, really?" The truth tumbled out before Kai could stop it. "I've been in love with him for years. Pathetic, right? He doesn't see me that way. He's an alpha, successful and confident in everything I'm not. But sometimes he says things, or does things that make me hope maybe someday." "Stop." Rex's command was quiet but absolute. Kai looked up, startled, to find the Ice King's expression had gone hard. "Don't do that to yourself. Hope that feeds on scraps isn't hope. It's torture. You don't understand. Milo cares about me. He's always been there." "Except when you needed him most," Rex interrupted. "Kai, I don't know this Milo, and perhaps I'm overstepping, but from what little you've told me, he sounds like someone who enjoys having you devoted to him without having to give anything real in return. That's not love. That's exploitation." The words hit Kai like cold water. "He's not like that. You're wrong." "I hope I am." Rex's expression softened slightly. "I truly hope I'm wrong, because you deserve someone who sees your worth and treats you accordingly. But in my experience, people who make grand promises and then fail to deliver when it matters are usually showing you exactly who they are. We just don't want to believe it." They talked for another hour, carefully steering away from the topic of Milo. Rex told Kai about his work, explaining complex business strategies in ways that made them sound almost like chess matches. Kai talked about his dreams of one day opening his own flower shop, something bigger and brighter than the tiny place he currently worked. Rex listened and asked questions, and made suggestions that were actually helpful rather than condescending. When they finally parted ways, Rex handed Kai a business card. "My personal number is on the back. Call me if you ever need anything, or if you just want to talk. I enjoyed this, more than I expected to." Kai clutched the card like it was precious. "I enjoyed it too. Thank you for the coffee, and for everything." "The pleasure was mine." Rex hesitated, then added, "Be careful with your heart, Kai. Give it to someone who deserves it." Over the following weeks, Kai and Rex fell into a pattern of meeting at the Sapphire Cafe, then at other places, a park, a bookstore, a small restaurant Rex liked that served incredible Thai food. They talked about everything and nothing, sharing pieces of themselves in careful increments. Kai learned that Rex had lost his mother when he was young, that his father had been brilliant but cold, that taking over the company at 23 had meant giving up any chance at a normal life. Rex learned that Kai had grown up poor, that he'd put himself through school while working at the flower shop, and that his dream was simple, to be happy and to make beautiful things. With each meeting, Kai felt himself changing, growing stronger somehow. Rex treated him like an equal, respected his opinions, never made him feel small or foolish. It was so different from how Milo treated him, Kai was beginning to realize. Milo's affection always came with a subtle edge, a sense that Kai should be grateful for the attention, that he should prove himself worthy of Milo's time. But Rex never made Kai feel like he had to earn anything. Rex's regard was freely given, no strings attached. Kai was falling for him. He tried not to, tried to protect his heart that was still bruised from years of loving Milo. But Rex made it impossible. Every conversation, every shared laugh, every moment of comfortable silence drew Kai deeper into feelings he couldn't control. The day everything shattered started like any other. Kai was working in the flower shop. in putting together a bouquet for a wedding when Milo walked in with a woman Kai had never seen before. She was beautiful in that effortless way some people managed. Long, dark hair, perfect features, designer clothes that probably cost more than Kai made in a month. She clung to Milo's arm like she belonged there, and Milo looked at her with an expression Kai had never seen him wear before. Soft, tender, real. Kai, hey, I want you to meet someone. Milo's voice was bright with genuine happiness. This is Luna. Luna, this is Kai, my oldest friend. Luna smiled with perfect teeth. Oh, Milo's told me so much about you. It's wonderful to finally meet you. Kai felt like the floor had dropped out from under him. Hi, he managed, his voice barely above a whisper. Nice to meet you too. We're here to order flowers for our anniversary next week, Milo explained, squeezing Luna's hand. 2 years together. Can you believe it? 2 years. 2 years Milo had been in a relationship, and he'd never mentioned it once to Kai. 2 years of letting Kai hope, of saying things like, "You mean everything to me," while having a girlfriend the whole time. Kai's hands trembled as he pulled out the order form. What kind of flowers were you thinking? He asked mechanically. They spent 20 minutes discussing arrangements, Milo and Luna finishing each other's sentences, laughing at private jokes. Kai wrote everything down with a smile frozen on his face, dying inside with every passing second. When they finally left, Milo ruffled Kai's hair like he was a child. Thanks, buddy. You're the best. I'll pick them up next Tuesday. After they left, Kai stood very still in the empty shop, staring at the order form. His vision blurred. His chest felt like someone had reached in and crushed his heart with bare hands. He'd been so stupid, so incredibly, pathetically stupid. His phone rang. Milo's name flashed on the screen. Kai almost didn't answer, but habit was strong. Kai, hey, I forgot to mention, can you work late on Saturday? I need someone to cover the shop while I'm at Luna's family dinner. Thanks, you're a lifesaver. Milo hung up before Kai could respond. Something inside Kai finally, completely broke. He sank down onto the floor behind the counter, wrapped his arms around his knees, and let himself cry. Not quiet, dignified tears, but ugly, gasping sobs that shook his whole body. He'd wasted years loving someone who had never seen him as anything but convenient. Years of hoping and dreaming and being available whenever Milo needed something. And all that time, Milo had someone else. Someone he actually loved. Kai didn't know how long he sat there. Eventually, his tears ran dry and left him hollow and aching. He pulled out his phone with shaking hands and found Rex's number. He shouldn't call. Rex was busy, important. Mott had better things to do than comfort a pathetic Omega crying over unrequited love. But Rex had said to call if Kai needed anything. And right now, Kai needed someone who saw him as more than just convenient. Rex answered on the second ring. Kai, what's wrong? Kai's voice broke. Can you come get me? Please. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Where are you? The flower shop. 5th and Morrison. Stay there. I'm coming. Rex arrived in 8 minutes. Walking through the door of the shop with his tie loosened and his expression dark with concern. He took one look at Kai's tear-stained face and crossed the space between them in 3 long strides. What happened? Rex demanded, his hands hovering near Kai's shoulders as if he wanted to touch but wasn't sure he should. You were right, Kai whispered. You were right about everything. Milo has a girlfriend, has had one for 2 years. He never told me. He just kept letting me hope and believe and... His voice broke again. Rex's jaw tightened and something dangerous flickered in his dark eyes. Come with me, he said quietly, extending his hand. You're not staying here alone tonight. Kai took his hand and let Rex lead him out of the shop, out into the evening air, into the safety of Rex's car. As they drove through the city, Rex didn't ask questions or demand explanations. He just reached over and took Kai's hand, holding it gently. See his thumb brushing across Kai's knuckles in a gesture of comfort. They ended up back at the Grandview Hotel suite, and Kai felt a strange sense of coming full circle. Rex made him tea, wrapped him in a blanket, and sat beside him on the couch. "Tell me everything," Rex said. "Don't leave anything out." So Kai did. He told Rex about growing up with Milo, about falling in love so slowly he hadn't even noticed until it was too late, about all the little moments that had fed his hope. He told him about the promises Milo had made and broken, about how used he felt, how stupid. Rex listened to all of it, his expression growing darker with each revelation. When Kai finally fell silent, exhausted from talking and crying, Rex was quiet for a long moment. "You're not stupid," Rex finally said, his voice low and fierce. "You're trusting. There's a difference. Milo exploited that trust, and that says everything about his character and nothing about yours." "I loved him," Kai whispered. "I know, and that's not something to be ashamed of. Loving someone, even when they don't deserve it, takes courage." Rex turned to face Kai fully, and the intensity in his dark eyes took Kai's breath away. "But Kai, you need to understand something. The way Milo treated you, keeping you hoping, using your devotion to get free labor, never being honest about his relationship, that's manipulation. That's emotional abuse, and you deserve so much better." "Like what?" Kai asked bitterly. "I'm just a flower shop worker. I'm not special or important or—" "Stop!" Rex cupped Kai's face in his hands, forcing the Omega to meet his eyes. "You're kind and creative and strong. You've built a life for yourself despite having nothing to start with. You see beauty in the world and try to share it with others. You're loyal to a fault, and yes, maybe that's gotten you hurt. But it's also one of your greatest strengths. Don't let Milo's blindness make you doubt your worth." Kai stared at Rex, his heart pounding. "Why do you care so much? Why are you so good to me?" Rex's hands trembled slightly against Kai's face. "Because from the moment you stumbled into my car, terrified and vulnerable, you've been under my skin. Because every time we talk, I discover something new about you that fascinates me. Because you make me want to be softer than I am, better than I thought I could be." He leaned forward, resting his forehead against Kai's. "Because I'm falling in love with you, Kai, and watching you hurt over someone who doesn't deserve you is killing me." The world stopped. Kai couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't do anything but stare into Rex's dark eyes and see the truth written there. The Ice King loved him. This powerful, brilliant, careful man had opened his heart, and it was Kai he'd let inside. "I'm falling in love with you too," Kai whispered. "I tried not to. I thought I was still in love with Milo, but that was just habit. This, what I feel when I'm with you. This is real." Rex kissed him then, soft and careful and full of promise. Kai kissed back, letting himself fall into it, letting himself believe that maybe he could have this. Maybe he could have someone who actually loved him back. When they finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, Rex rested his hand over Kai's heart. "Stay with me tonight," he said. "Not because of the heat or because you need help, but because I want you here, because I want to hold you and prove to you that you're worth everything." Kai stayed. He fell asleep in Rex's arms, feeling safer than he had in years. And when he woke the next morning to find Rex watching him with soft eyes, Kai knew he'd finally found what he'd been searching for all along. He just wished he'd looked in the right direction sooner. But that night, as Kai drifted back to sleep, wrapped in warmth and promise, he had no idea that the worst was yet to come. He didn't know about the conversation Luna and Milo were having at that exact moment, planning how to keep their relationship secret from their families who wouldn't approve. He didn't know that Milo had been using him for more than just emotional support, that the flower shop belonged to Milo's family, and Kai's work had been subsidizing Milo's expensive lifestyle. He didn't know that Milo had found out about Rex, and that jealousy had turned into something darker. Something dangerous. The truth was coming, sharp and cruel as a knife. And when it arrived, Kai would have to choose between the person he thought he loved and the person who actually loved him back. The choice should have been easy, but nothing about love ever was. The morning sunlight painted gold stripes across Rex's bedroom floor when Kai woke for the second time. He was alone in the massive bed, but he could hear the quiet sounds of movement from somewhere in the suite. The clink of dishes, the whisper of fabric, the low murmur of Rex's voice on a phone call. Kai stretched, feeling muscles he'd forgotten he had, and let himself simply exist in this moment of peace before reality came crashing back. Because reality would come back. It always did. And when it did, Kai would have to figure out what to do about Milo, about the flower shop. He's about the years of his life he'd spent waiting for someone who had never been waiting for him in return. Rex appeared in the doorway carrying a tray with breakfast, toast and eggs and fresh fruit, arranged with the same careful precision Rex seemed to apply to everything. He was already dressed for work in another perfectly tailored suit, his hair styled back, looking every inch the powerful CEO. But his eyes were soft when he looked at Kai. "Good morning," Rex said, setting the tray on the bed beside Kai. "How did you sleep?" "Better than I have in months," Kai admitted, sitting up and immediately being distracted by the sight of food. His stomach growled embarrassingly loud. "You didn't have to make me breakfast." "I wanted to." Rex sat on the edge of the bed, watching Kai with an expression that made the Omega's heart flutter. "Kai, we should talk about what happens next." Kai's hand stilled over the toast. "What do you mean?" "I mean that you work in a shop owned by Milo's family. You live in an apartment above that shop, and your entire life is currently entangled with someone who's been using you." Rex's voice was gentle but firm. "That needs to change. I want to help you, but I won't overstep unless you want me to." "Help me how?" Kai asked carefully. Rex reached out and took Kai's hand, threading their fingers together. "I own several properties in the city. One of them is a small storefront that's been sitting empty for 6 months. It used to be a bakery. The location is good, high foot traffic, and the space is perfect for a flower shop. I want to lease it to you." Kai's breath caught. "Rex, I can't afford—" "At a rate you can afford," Rex interrupted smoothly. "Whatever you're paying now for your apartment, that's what you'll pay me. And before you argue, this isn't charity. It's an investment. I believe in your talent, Kai. I've seen what you can do with flowers, how you make them into art. You deserve your own place, your own business where you're not dependent on Milo or his family." Tears burned in Kai's eyes, but they were different tears than the ones he'd shed yesterday. These were tears of hope, of possibility, of someone believing in him enough to take a chance. "Why would you do this for me?" "Because I love you," Rex said simply, "and because I meant what I said last night. You deserve better than what you've been settling for. Let me help you build something that's yours." They spent the morning making plans. Rex called his property manager and arranged for Kai to see the storefront that afternoon. He called a lawyer and had them start drawing up a lease agreement that was so favorable to Kai it was almost embarrassing. And through it all, he treated Kai like an equal partner in the decisions, asking his opinions, respecting his concerns. It was so different from how Milo had always operated. Milo made decisions for Kai, told him what to do, expected gratitude for every small consideration. Rex asked, listened, adjusted his plans based on what Kai actually wanted. By the time Kai returned to his apartment that evening to pack his things, he felt like a different person, stronger, more certain, ready to finally take control of his own life. The apartment above the flower shop was small and shabby, but it had been home for 3 years. Kai moved through it methodically, packing his clothes, his books, the few personal items that mattered. He left behind the furniture. None of it was really his anyway. Had all come with the apartment. When he was done, his entire life fit into 4 boxes and 2 suitcases. He was loading the last box into Rex's car when Milo appeared. "Kai, what are you doing? Where are you going?" Milo's voice carried genuine confusion, tinged with the first edge of alarm. Kai straightened, turning to face his former best friend. In the evening light, Milo looked as perfect as always, golden and charming and utterly oblivious to the damage he'd done. "I'm moving out. I'm leaving the shop." "What? Why? Kai, what's going on?" Milo moved closer, reaching out like he was going to touch Kai's arm, but something in Kai's expression made him stop. Is this about Luna? I was going to tell you about her. I just didn't know how to bring it up. You had 2 years to bring it up, Kai said quietly. 2 years of letting me believe I might have a chance with you. 2 years of saying I meant everything to you while you had someone else. Milo's face flushed. That's not fair. You never actually said you had feelings for me. I can't read your mind, Kai. You knew. Kai's voice was steady, cold in a way he'd learned from Rex. Don't pretend you didn't know. You knew, and you used it. And you used my feelings to get me to work extra hours, to cover for you, to be available whenever you needed something. And all that time, you were with Luna, and you never once thought to be honest with me. Milo's expression shifted from defensive to something uglier. So what, you're just going to throw away 20 years of friendship because I have a girlfriend? That's really mature, Kai. This isn't about you having a girlfriend, Kai said, and he was proud that his voice didn't shake. This is about you being dishonest, about you taking advantage of me, about you failing to show up when I actually needed you, and then making excuses instead of taking responsibility. Oh, I see what this is really about. Milo's eyes narrowed. This is about whoever helped you that night, the mysterious friend you wouldn't tell me about. Did they put these ideas in your head? Did they convince you I was some kind of villain? No one convinced me of anything. I figured it out on my own. Kai closed the car trunk with more force than necessary. I'm done, Milo. I'm done waiting for you to see me. I'm done being convenient. I'm done letting you make me feel small. You're making a huge mistake, Milo said, his voice taking on a sharp edge. You think you can just start over? You have no money, no prospects, nowhere to go. You need me, Kai. You've always needed me. No, Kai said softly. I thought I needed you. There's a difference. Yeah, and I'm finally learning it. He got into Rex's car without looking back, even though he could feel Milo's stare burning into him. Rex, who had been waiting in the driver's seat, reached over and squeezed Kai's hand. Are you okay? Rex asked. Not yet, Kai admitted, but I will be. They drove to Rex's penthouse, not the hotel suite, but Rex's actual home, a space even more beautiful and carefully curated. Rex helped Kai carry his boxes inside, me showing him the guest room that he said Kai could use for as long as you need, or forever if you want. That night, lying in a bed that was softer than any he'd ever slept in, Kai should have felt relieved. He should have felt free, and part of him did. But another part mourned for the boy he'd been, the one who'd believed in Milo's promises and invested years in a friendship that had been one-sided all along. The next few weeks passed in a blur of activity. Kai worked with contractors to renovate the storefront Rex had offered him. He painted walls, selected fixtures, designed a layout that would showcase the flowers perfectly. Rex helped when he could, showing up after work in jeans and old t-shirts, looking unfairly attractive even covered in paint. They worked side by side, and Kai felt himself falling deeper in love with every shared laugh, every gentle touch, every moment of comfortable silence. The new shop was going to be called Bloom. Simple, elegant, full of promise. Kai designed the logo himself, a stylized flower that was somehow both delicate and strong. Everything about the shop reflected who Kai was becoming. Beautiful, yes, but also resilient. But Milo wasn't finished with him. It started with text messages, long, rambling things that swung between apologetic and accusatory. Then came the phone calls that Kai learned to send straight to voicemail. Then Milo showed up at the new shop while Kai was working, demanding to talk. Just 5 minutes, Milo pleaded, looking disheveled in a way Kai had never seen. Please, Kai, I need to explain. Against his better judgment, Kai unlocked the door and let him in. They stood in the half-finished space, surrounded by paint cans and drop cloths, and the distance between them felt enormous. Luna and I broke up, Milo said without preamble. She wanted things I couldn't give her. Marriage, kids, and the whole domestic thing. I realized I don't want that. I realized what I want is... He took a step toward Kai. What I want is you. It's always been you, Kai. I was just too stupid to see it. Kai felt nothing. The words he'd dreamed of hearing for years landed flat and empty. That's a lie, Milo. Or if it's not a lie, it's only because I'm not available anymore. What are you talking about? Milo's face twisted. You're with him, aren't you? Rex Donovan, the Ice King. That's who helped you that night. That's who put all these ideas in your head about me being some kind of user. Rex didn't put anything in my head, Kai said evenly. He just helped me see what was already there. You used me, Milo, for years. You kept me hoping so I'd be convenient, so I'd work your family's shop for pennies, so you'd have someone loyal and devoted whenever you needed an ego boost. That's not true. Milo's voice rose. I care about you. I always have. Maybe you do. All in your own way, Kai acknowledged. But your way is selfish. Your way takes without giving. Your way keeps people small so you can feel big, and I'm done with it. You think Donovan is any better? Milo sneered. Everyone knows what he is. Cold, calculating, ruthless. He's probably just using you too, Kai. Probably gets some kind of kick out of slumming it with a flower shop Omega. The anger that surged through Kai was hot and righteous. Get out! Kai! I said get out! Kai's voice cracked like a whip. Rex has shown me more genuine kindness in 2 months than you've shown me in 20 years. He sees me, Milo. Not what I can do for him, but who I actually am. And he loves me for it, so don't you dare compare yourself to him. You're not even in the same universe. Milo stared at him, shocked into silence. Then his expression hardened into something Kai had never seen before, something cruel. Fine. Have your perfect little life with your perfect rich boyfriend. But when he gets bored of you, when you're not novel anymore, don't come crying to me. I won't be there. Good, Kai said coldly. I don't want you there. After Milo left, Kai sank down onto the floor and let himself shake. Not with tears this time, but with the adrenaline of finally standing up for himself, of finally setting boundaries and holding them even when it was hard. His phone rang. Rex's name flashed on the screen. And Kai answered immediately. Kai? I just got the strangest call from Milo Chen. He said some concerning things and I wanted to make sure you were okay. Milo called you? Kai's voice was sharp with surprise. He did. Among other things, he threatened to sue me for stealing you, which is both legally baseless and absurdly possessive. Rex's voice was calm, but Kai could hear the anger underneath. He also said some unpleasant things about you that I won't repeat. I wanted to let you know in case he tries to approach you again. He already did, Kai said tiredly. He came to the shop. He said he and Luna broke up, that he wants me back. I told him no. There was a pause on the other end. Then Rex said quietly, How do you feel about that? Relieved, Kai said, surprised by how true it was. Liberated, like I finally closed a chapter that should have ended years ago. He took a breath. Rex, I need to tell you something. I need you to know that what I feel for you has nothing to do with Milo or rebounds or anything like that. I love you. Really love you. Not the fantasy version I built of Milo, but the real you, complicated and careful and kind in ways the world doesn't see. Kai, Rex's voice was thick with emotion. I love you too. More than I thought I could love anyone. You make me want to be softer, more open, more human. You make the cold parts of me thaw. They talked for another hour, making plans for dinner, for the shop's opening, for the future they were building together. When Kai finally hung up, he felt lighter than he had in years. But Milo wasn't done yet. Not by a long shot. 2 weeks before Bloom's grand opening, Kai arrived at the shop to find the front window smashed. Glass glittered on the sidewalk like scattered diamonds. Inside, someone had torn through the space, destroying the displays Kai had so carefully arranged, trampling flowers, and spray painting ugly words on the freshly painted walls. Whore. User. Fake. Kai stood in the wreckage and felt something inside him turn to steel. He called Rex, then the police. By the time Rex arrived 15 minutes later, Kai had already started cleaning up, his jaw set with determination. "Kai, stop. The police need to document everything before we touch it," Rex said, gently taking the broom from Kai's hands. "It was Milo," Kai said flatly. "Or someone he hired. I know it was." "Probably," Rex agreed. "And if it was, we'll prove it. I'm having my security team pull footage from every camera within 3 blocks. If Milo or anyone connected to him was here, we'll know." The police came, took their report, dusted for fingerprints. The security footage Rex's team compiled showed Milo's car parked 2 blocks away during the time of the vandalism, showed a figure in a hoodie approaching the shop, smashing the window, going inside. The figure's build matched Milo's exactly, but Milo claimed he'd loaned his car to a friend, claimed he was at home with Luna all night. Luna backed up his alibi without hesitation. Apparently they'd gotten back together, or maybe had never really broken up at all. Without a clear face on camera, without physical evidence placing Milo at the scene, the police couldn't press charges. "I'm sorry," the detective told Kai and Rex. "Without more evidence, my hands are tied. But this is documented. If he tries anything else, we'll have a pattern to work with." After the police left, Kai and Rex stood in the destroyed shop, surrounded by broken glass and crushed dreams. Kai felt the tears coming and tried to hold them back, but Rex pulled him close. "Let it out," Rex murmured into Kai's hair. "You're allowed to be upset." "He destroyed everything," Kai choked out. "All the work, all the hope." "No." Rex pulled back and cupped Kai's face in his hands. "He destroyed some things. Not everything. Not you, not us, not your talent or your dreams. Those are still here, still whole, and we're going to rebuild, and it's going to be even better than before." "How can you be so sure?" "Because I know you," Rex said simply. "You're stronger than you think, Kai. Stronger than Milo ever gave you credit for. And this time, you're not alone. You have me. You have resources and support, and people who actually love you. We're going to rebuild this shop. We're going to make it beautiful. And when it opens, it's going to be a success. And there's nothing Milo can do to stop that." Over the next 2 weeks, Kai and Rex worked around the clock to repair the damage. Rex called in favors, hired the best contractors, expedited every order. The shop's walls were repainted with better paint. The broken window was replaced with reinforced glass. The destroyed displays were rebuilt even more beautifully than before, and this time, Rex had security cameras installed, making sure nothing like this could happen again. On the morning of Bloom's grand opening, Kai stood in the shop and felt tears prick his eyes for entirely different reasons. The space was gorgeous, bright and airy with flowers arranged in stunning displays, soft music playing from hidden speakers, and sunlight streaming through the windows. People were already lining up outside, drawn by the advertisements Rex had helped him place and the buzz of excitement in the neighborhood. Rex found him standing in the middle of it all, looking slightly overwhelmed. "How are you feeling?" "Terrified," Kai admitted. "Excited, grateful, like my heart might burst." "Good," Rex smiled, a real smile that lit up his whole face and made him look years younger. "That's how you should feel when you're standing in your dream." The opening was a massive success. Customers poured in, buying arrangements, placing orders, complimenting Kai's work. The mayor's wife stopped by and bought an enormous bouquet. A wedding planner left her card and promised to send all her clients. And through it all, Rex stood in the background, watching Kai shine with an expression of pride and love that made several customers whisper to each other about the Ice King looking surprisingly warm. By the time they closed that evening, Kai had made more money in one day than he'd typically made in a month at Milo's family shop. He collapsed onto the stool behind the counter, exhausted and exhilarated. "We did it," he breathed. "You did it," Rex corrected, coming to stand beside him. "I just helped. All the talent, all the hard work, all the creativity, that was you, Kai. You should be proud." "I am," Kai said, and realized it was true. For the first time in his life, he was genuinely proud of himself. They locked up the shop and walked to Rex's car hand in hand, both too tired to do anything but lean against each other. As Rex drove them home, and Kai realized with a warm flush that he'd started thinking of Rex's penthouse as home, his phone buzzed with a text. From Milo. "Congratulations on the shop. I always knew you had potential. Maybe we can get coffee sometime and talk. I miss you." Kai stared at the message for a long moment, then deleted it without responding. And he didn't owe Milo anything. Not explanations, not forgiveness, not even acknowledgement. That chapter of his life was closed. He'd learned the hard way that some people would only see your worth after you stopped giving it to them freely. "Everything okay?" Rex asked, glancing over with concern. "Everything's perfect," Kai said, putting his phone away and reaching for Rex's hand instead. And it was. Despite everything that had happened, the betrayal, the heartbreak, and the vandalism. Kai had come through it stronger. He'd built something beautiful from the ashes of his old life. He'd found real love with someone who actually deserved it. And he'd proven to himself that he was capable of more than he'd ever imagined. The Omega who'd stumbled into the wrong car all those months ago had been lost and desperate, clinging to the hope that someone who didn't value him might suddenly see his worth. The Omega sitting in Rex's car now was confident, successful, and deeply loved by someone who'd seen his worth from the very beginning. 3 months later, when Kai woke up in Rex's bed, their bed now, to find Rex already awake and watching him with soft eyes, he felt nothing but contentment. The kind of deep, peaceful contentment that came from being exactly where you were supposed to be, with exactly who you were supposed to be with. "Good morning," Rex murmured, pulling Kai closer. "Good morning," Kai replied, pressing a kiss to Rex's chest. "What are you thinking about?" "I'm thinking about how glad I am that you got into the wrong car that night," Rex admitted. "I'm thinking about how my life would be so much emptier without you in it. I'm thinking..." He paused, then reached over to the nightstand and pulled out a small velvet box. "I'm thinking about how much I want to spend the rest of my life with you." Kai's breath caught as Rex opened the box to reveal a simple silver ring with a small diamond. Not ostentatious, not flashy, just beautiful in its simplicity. "Kai, I know we haven't been together that long by traditional standards," Rex said, his voice slightly unsteady. "But I've never been more certain of anything in my life. You make me better. You make me happier. You make the world brighter just by being in it. Will you marry me?" "Yes," Kai said immediately, tears streaming down his face. "Yes, of course, yes." Rex slipped the ring onto Kai's finger, then kissed him deeply, thoroughly. A kiss full of promise and forever. When they finally pulled apart, both were smiling like idiots. "I love you," Kai said. "Thank you for finding me that night. Thank you for saving me." "I didn't save you," Rex corrected gently. "You saved yourself. I just gave you a safe space to heal and grow into who you were always meant to be." And as they lay there together, planning their future, Kai thought about the journey that had brought him here. The years of loving someone who didn't love him back. The night he'd stumbled into a stranger's car by mistake. The slow process of healing and discovering his own strength. The painful confrontation with Milo and everything he represented. The triumph of building something that was truly his own. It hadn't been easy. It had hurt and challenged him in ways he'd never expected. But every step had been necessary, had taught him something essential about himself and what he deserved. Bloom flourished over the following months, becoming one of the most popular flower shops in the city. Kai hired 2 assistants, both young Omegas who reminded him of who he used to be, and he made sure to treat them with the respect and encouragement he'd never received from Milo. He paid them well, listened to their ideas, and helped them grow. As for Milo, Kai heard through mutual acquaintances that his relationship with Luna had imploded for good, that his family's shop was struggling, that he'd developed a reputation for being difficult and unreliable. Part of Kai felt sorry for him, but mostly, Kai felt nothing. Milo was simply someone he used to know, someone who'd taught him valuable lessons about what he didn't want in his life. On the day Kai and Rex got married, a small, intimate ceremony with just a few close friends and Rex's sister who flew in from Paris, Kai stood at the altar and felt overwhelmed with gratitude. Not just for Rex, though Rex was everything he'd ever dreamed of and more, but for himself, for having the courage to leave behind what was safe and familiar, for having the strength to rebuild when everything fell apart, for having the wisdom to recognize real love when it finally appeared. "I love you," he told Rex as they exchanged rings. "I love you too," Rex replied. "Thank you for getting into my car that night." Kai laughed, remembering how terrified he'd been, how sure he'd made a terrible mistake. And he had made a mistake, just not the one he'd thought. His mistake had been wasting years on someone who didn't deserve him. Getting into Rex's car had been the first right thing he'd done in a long time. The Ice King wasn't cold at all, Kai had learned. He was just careful about who he let close enough to feel his warmth. And Kai would spend the rest of his life being grateful that he'd been given that privilege. As they walked down the aisle together, hand in hand, Kai caught sight of himself in a mirror. The person looking back was confident, happy, loved. Someone who'd learned that betrayal could lead to healing, that endings could lead to beginnings, and that sometimes the wrong car was exactly the right place to be. The Omega who'd once been untouched and desperate had become someone whole and chosen. And that was the greatest revenge of all, not hurting the person who'd hurt you, but becoming so genuinely happy that you stopped thinking about them at all. Kai smiled at his reflection, squeezed Rex's hand, and walked forward into the life they would build together. A life full of love, respect, and the kind of partnership he'd once thought only existed in stories. It turned out happy endings were real. You just had to be brave enough to fight for them. Want more stories like this? Subscribe to hear about Kai and Rex's future adventures, and discover other tales of love, healing, and second chances. Drop a comment below telling us, what was your favorite moment in this story? And what kind of romance would you like to see next? Don't forget to like and share if this story touched your heart.